things of nature, things of that 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 nature.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Pot of That Nature preview show. I'm Curtis Wilkerson. He's Andrew Ellis. We're with Inside Arkansas. And after a brief hiatus, just like the Razorback football team took during the bye week, we're back to preview Arkansas and Texas. And I don't know, Andrew, how to feel about this football team or this game, but the goal is that we make ourselves and maybe the fans feel a little bit better by the end of this.
Is that our goal?
I think so.
Well, listen, our goal, our only obligation is to tell it straight. And we'll see how they feel afterwards. Yeah. But I will say, Curtis, I'm not that optimistic going into this matchup, but I'm more optimistic today than I was on Monday. And that's all that I can give you. If that's not enough, then I'm sorry, but that's all I can give you.
There we go. Arkansas enters this game 5-4. They are now, almost 2 weeks removed from whatever happened in Fayetteville against Ole Miss. Wasn't pretty. But they've had, hopefully, for their sake, at least some time to figure some things out, shake some things up, and maybe have a different product on the field in front of the fans at Razorback Stadium, because it is an 11 a.m. game, which kind of stinks given the, I don't want to say magnitude, but what everyone's trying to make this right now, which is a big deal between Arkansas and Texas, rekindling this rivalry. And for it to be the first installment, you want it to be a good showing for the Razorbacks and a good game in front of the home crowd. I don't know if it's going to rival what we saw in 2021, which was a lot of fun, but hopefully it's a really good atmosphere. And hopefully, the team gives them a reason to stick around and stay involved in this thing, because I think they've had some pretty damn solid crowds the last couple of weeks at home. But, the performance dictates the energy in that building.
Well, the stage is very much set. I understand it's 11 a.m. It's not necessarily ideal. It might be pretty cold. So I get why, it's not necessarily, conducive to a very big atmosphere, a awesome ruckus environment. But I mean, look, you've got an Arkansas team that is not with their backs against the wall necessarily. Like, this isn't like a must-win situation, but they've got a lot to prove. They've kind of settled into obscurity in the national landscape. They have gotten to the point where people are kind of over it with this team. Like, they're in need of a spark. You've got Texas, one of the best teams Texas has had in, 20 years. Like, one of the, on paper, one of the better Longhorn teams we've seen that has football, playoff aspirations. The stage is set for Arkansas to kind of play that spoiler like we spoke about the other day, and for Arkansas to kind of solidify themselves as relevant, and to, make this season worthwhile. Because I think, before the season, we all our biggest fear was that Arkansas would just kind of go 6-6 and, nothing crazy would happen. You had the Tennessee win, which is cool. I'm sure we didn't expect that. But just overall, Arkansas, it just seems like they're headed toward that ho-hum finish. This is Arkansas's chance to kind of correct that. And so we'll see if they take it. I also just, Curtis, the more I look at this matchup, I think Texas is clearly very good. They're good. No spoiler. And Arkansas has their deficiencies, but I do look at it and I think I don't see a, squash match here. I don't see a matchup where it's set up for Texas to just beat Arkansas 49-3. Now, if they did, I wouldn't be completely surprised. I think this Arkansas team, based on the last time we saw them against Ole Miss, seems like there's maybe some varying level of fight still in them. But I actually do think this is a matchup that Arkansas can have some success in. I think that Texas is, not the most tested SEC team in terms of, especially those top level ones. Like, their schedule hasn't been exactly brutal. Now Arkansas, I don't know if they qualify as a strong test themselves, but I do think there's a path, there's a case to be made that Arkansas can hang tight in this matchup. And I think that's why you see that gambling line, that spread that we always talk about on Bet Saracen. It's hovering right around 14, 2 touchdowns, which is fair because, that's about where Arkansas was for the Tennessee game. But I think there's a reason it's not in that 17-20 range. I think there's some people that think that Arkansas has some of the pieces to maybe make this a tough match. And we saw Vanderbilt literally do it to Texas less than 2 weeks ago. So it's not the craziest thing in the world.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I feel like it's, kind of a combination of, Arkansas has been sneaky at times this year, like against Tennessee. So the juice is there. Whether or not it's in the cup and ready to come out of the straw, we don't know. But then on the flip side of it, there's also this weird level of fraud check with Texas. And I'm not buying it. And neither is Sam Pittman. He was asked about it in the SEC teleconference. And he was like, whoever's saying that, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. But it's true, man. If you look at their schedule, and then we'll get into it here, like they had that blowout win at Michigan early in the season, which did not age well because Michigan stinks this year, as it turns out. And then after that, Mississippi State, dominant, but not overwhelming, 35-13. That game was close at halftime, so okay, whatever. Oklahoma was that 34-3 game, which was just kind of a gradual beat down. Like
closer than it looked as well. They almost benched Quinn Ewers during that game.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And Georgia, jumped out on them 23-0 and wound up winning that game at Texas. You mentioned the Vanderbilt game, which I think we both agree that Vanderbilt's they're for real. Like they're actually good. But if you're a national championship contender, you probably would have expected a little bit more there. And then they beat up on a Florida team that had their third string quarterback last week. So that's not to say that Texas is not the real deal, but they haven't, proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that they are. So we'll see. And, this is an opportunity against an Arkansas team that has some talent, has done some things. And, we'll find out a little bit about both of these teams.
There's a few things that really give me a little bit of confidence, I guess, if you want to call it that, from the Arkansas side. Texas's run game. So they are 61st nationally, 164 yards per game. For a team that plays it from in front as much as Texas has this year, you would just kind of expect them to have a really good run game. Like you would expect them to be putting away teams and kind of able to be a good hammer, especially with some of those teams that you just listed off that they've played. I mean, Florida and Mississippi State are two of the worst, defenses in the SEC. You would kind of expect them to have padded some stats there. I'm also looking at their average time of possession, Curtis. It is 29 minutes and 34 seconds. So on average, Texas loses the time of possession battle, which look, we're not Brabelima saying that that's the end all be all in football. But I do think like there's some weird little numbers here, and their pass rush on paper has all kinds of NFL guys, and it's a very good pass rush. It's one of the top 40 in the country, but it's not even one of the more dominant ones that Arkansas has faced on paper. There's just like, I guess like whenever I was looking into this Texas team before the week started, I kind of just expected to be blown away by everything that I saw. And there were some areas where I'm kind of like, okay, maybe this Texas team isn't like this juggernaut that nobody can really compete with. And again, I'm with you where I don't buy necessarily that narrative that like, oh, they're frauds that haven't been properly tested. I just would say if you look at their resume, it's a good resume. They deserve to be ranked where they're at. Like it is what it is, but it's far from a foolproof list of games that Texas has just been passing all these tests with flying colors. Now, again, is Arkansas even going to give them a test? Very much up for debate. Very much up for debate. But none of that will even matter this week potentially. But if I'm trying to talk myself into Arkansas competing in this game, I definitely think there's a case to be made. But ultimately, Curtis, we talk about what's the upset recipe. Arkansas, we say it's a lot of the same things we say every week. Arkansas cannot afford to lose this turnover battle. Arkansas cannot afford to suck in the red zone. Arkansas cannot afford to get off to a slow start. These are the kind of things that are going to come into play.
Things they've done all year.
Correct. And so, yeah, I think that like we can have that conversation though, but of course it has to start with all that stuff that Arkansas can control.
Yeah. And, I noticed that about Texas's rushing attack too. And then I remember 2 weeks ago looking at Ole Miss and seeing the exact same thing, and then quickly realizing that did not matter. So, but we'll see. But it's true. I mean, it is a thing, and it's interesting to see that, and then look at some of like the big picture stats for Texas, where they're top 10 in the country in scoring offense, total offense, scoring defense, total defense. So they're figuring things out, and it's the same thing defensively, where I look at them and like in terms of like they don't give up any yards and they don't give up any points, but it's not like they're killing it with sacks and tackles for loss. They're kind of, upper middle of the pack, but it's nothing crazy there. I guess that at the end of the day, the results have been there for them. So we'll see. And yeah, you're right, man. That was a good segue into just kind of the recipe. That's the exact things that I kind of had written down there. fast start. I really do. It's cliche, man, but it's so important for Arkansas now after what we saw against Ole Miss, because you need the crowd to stay in it, because it's not going to take long. Like that fuse is short for people to be like, man, what the hell? I'm not doing this again. That's part of it. Two, it's just, once you have let go of the rope in the middle of a game once, it's a hell of a lot easier to do it again. And they did that against Ole Miss. So if things start going south right now, Andrew, I don't have any confidence that these guys are going to be able to rally and make plays and kind of turn the course, reverse the script, whatever you want to say. I worry if they get down a score too early, if they're just like, see you next week. And that you obviously you can't have that against anybody, especially Texas, especially at home again, because I think that's where a great amount of the consternation in the fan base around, Sam Pittman, his future and everything like that, which I think we can both agree at this point that he's safe for now. But you can't be doing that nonsense at home where you just kind of give up in front of your home crowd.
Well, when you're talking about college sports and you're talking about 19, 21-year-old kids, they're never as good as their best days and they're never as bad as their worst. Like, you just get different levels when, whether it's you go position by position, player by player, even team by team, like, they're never going to just give you a constant, this Razorback team, they're a B+ team and they're just going to be B+ all the time. Like, it just is that way. And so, look, I have no doubt that this Arkansas team is not nearly as bad as they looked for most of that Ole Miss game when they absolutely did let go of the rope. And so, look, will they give a peak effort like they gave against a Tennessee or, at different times throughout the year? I don't know. Will they give an effort as bad as the one they showed against Ole Miss? Probably not.
God, I hope
it's
not.
Just going to be somewhere in there. I feel like this bye week and it being another home game, another Texas game, there's a lot of Texas kids on the roster, gives Arkansas a chance to kind of talk themselves into the idea of, okay, fresh start. Let's start from scratch. We're good again. Like, let's just give it our best. But again, like you said, you get punched in the mouth early, you get right back to that. Okay, actually, we're not that great. And it's very easy to kind of let that snowball on you. So I agree. Like, it pretty much, it's fast start or bust here. Like, you really cannot afford to mess around. And also, I just don't think Arkansas is talented enough to overcome they did it against Tennessee, which is kind of crazy. Their best win of the year, they were able to overcome adversity, erasing an 11-point deficit in the second half. But I just don't think this Arkansas team is talented enough to do that consistently and against this particular Texas team, because this Texas team is built to play from in front. Like, they squash you. Once they get a lead, they're usually good at putting these teams away. The only game they lost is a game that they were trailing, like you said, 23-0 in. And so I think Arkansas cannot let that Texas team get any confidence, and they can't afford to lose any themselves.
Yeah, what scares me about this is it just feels like the similarities between Ole Miss and Texas that go against the weaknesses of Arkansas. And I think that's what gets me, like, we'll get into the challenges here in a second, but just the way Lane Kiffin kind of, just dialed it up and diced up, the Razorback defense. And then if you had to name, like, just off the top of your head, if you were to say, okay, who are the top 3 offensive minds in college football, Lane Kiffin and Sark would be on that list, and they kind of fall from the same tree there. So that scares me a little bit. You're 100% right about the turnover battle, which is interesting because Texas they're one behind Alabama off the lead in the SEC and takeaways. They've got 20 takeaways this year. So Arkansas likes to give away the football. Texas will gladly take it from you. But they also give it away too. They have 15 turnovers this year, 8 interceptions. And I know early in the season, a theme was Quinn Ewers just does this thing where he throws first quarter interceptions. And so that's something that you would need there for sure. That's part of the recipe. So is like a non-traditional big play, whether it's a defensive touchdown or a, big special teams play, a block or a trick play or whatever, something like that. But I want to ask you this before we get into our challenges. So Texas is, they're scoring about 39 points per game. They're allowing a dozen, which is ridiculous. What do we think? And it probably depends on how we feel this, the type of game that's going to be played. What's the magic number that Arkansas needs to be shooting for here in terms of scoring, in terms of points, to have a realistic shot at getting this done? I'm curious to see where you're at with that.
So, we always say like, okay, could Arkansas win a shootout? could Arkansas win an ugly defensive game? I think it needs to be kind of right in between that.
Yeah.
Where like I think Arkansas is going to have to make some big plays offensively. And in fact, I'll in our bold predictions, I will touch on that a little bit. But I think Arkansas is going to have to make some wow plays to stay in this game. But I also think, we see Arkansas a lot of times where they move the ball a good bit, but it doesn't necessarily equate to points. I think Arkansas really needs to be efficient. When they have a drive and they get a drive going, they get 2-3 first downs. That's got to be points like every time. Even like you can have your fair share of 3 and outs. You can even have you can overcome a turnover here or there or whatever. But it's like when you move the ball, you've got to turn that into points. I feel like if this game gets out of like the 31 to 28 type of range, I just, again, you mentioned how good of a play caller Steve Sarkisian is. This Texas offense is just a lot more well-rounded. They're able to protect the passer a lot better. I just don't see Arkansas being, and you've got a veteran quarterback, literally might be the best Arkansas is going to face all year or has faced all year. I really don't want to see, because I think that puts too much pressure on Arkansas to not make mistakes, and they will make mistakes. But I mean, look, I think 30 points, I think, is kind of like that. Which, by the way, you're talking about the number one scoring defense, the group that's given up a third of that.
Yeah,
that's asking for a lot. But I think Arkansas, if they can get in that kind of 27 to 30 range, I feel like that's the magic number. And go ahead and do it, boys.
yeah. Good luck. I wrote 28 down, so there you go. That's I think we're on the same page there. Let's get into our challenges here, and we do this every week with we try to go individual Razorbacks who we feel like need to step up to the challenge, need to have big games, improve on the previous week, whatever. And I've got some of those, but I also have just some more big picture things for this particular game. And so I'll start here with the low hanging fruit. I mean, like my challenge is to Travis Williams. You just got, like, you embarrassed yourself against Ole Miss. He just did. And, Sam Pittman kind of called it out. Everybody saw it in the moment. Lane Kiffin called it out after the game. He coached circles around him out there. Arkansas wasn't prepared. They were a step behind with every adjustment, every check at the line of scrimmage. And to I guess kind of further the point that we were just talking about, Sark will do the same thing to you if you are not ready. And we also need to avoid this theme here where, you get to the midpoint of the season and you're trying to, hand Travis Williams a $2 million contract, or, keep him out from a head coaching job or whatever. But then the defense just falls off a cliff at the end of years. And I know Arkansas is doing some things to obviously try to avoid that. You would want to do that. But can he kind of rally these troops defensively, have them prepared with another stellar game plan, because that's what it's going to take to win a game like this, and just have them playing for you the way that they were early in the season? There's such a huge difference in the way they were flying around to the football and rallying around against Tennessee, or who, like, really name anybody else, even LSU, when they had some issues out there. Just a completely different world than what we saw against Ole Miss, where, quite frankly, there were some guys out there, especially on the back end, who quit. They just kind of gave up on the operation. So a big challenge goes out to Travis Williams there. If he's not on his A game, Arkansas doesn't have a chance.
Yeah, and I mean, we talk about, wanting to kind of win back over the fan base, get that excitement back. What an opportunity, to do it. And look, it's quite the tall task we're asking. We're asking them to shut down, one of the best teams in the country, one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And so, look, it's not going to be easy, but man, you when you look at this season and this big picture view of this Arkansas football team, like, it's going to take a lot to get everyone kind of back in, get everyone back excited, because you and I know people are not excited about this Arkansas football team at the moment.
Yeah.
Well, Curtis, I am trying to stick with the Arkansas-Texas theme here. I'm going to only challenge Texas natives if I can.
Okay.
I'm going to start with a young man who we have not seen in a little while. We have challenged him a few times, though. Jaquinton Jackson, who is set to most likely make his return from injury this week. Sam Pittman the other day said he was healthy as a horse. Said he was a stallion again. So we'll see what his usage looks like. Jaquinton Jackson, man, it's your last year of college football. You had moments early in the year where you look like a freaking All-American, look like a legitimate All-SEC back. You were leading the conference. Everyone loved you. And then, things kind of went south. The competition got better. The production dipped a little bit. Injuries happened a little bit as well. I know you and I and a lot of fans were kind of sick of seeing him go in and out a lot of those games. And so, look, what do you want your lasting memory with the Arkansas Razorbacks and really of your collegiate career? Because this is it. I mean, you had a nice little run, but this is it. So, what do you want your memories to be as a Razorback? Because we've got a couple pretty solid ones. We remember you ran for 150 yards against UAB. That was awesome, man. But
he had 9 touchdowns in 3 weeks or whatever. Like,
right. Do you wanna remember just a nice little start to your senior season, or do you want to make a huge statement against Texas, your home state team, your former school also went there as a quarterback back in the day? I think this is a perfect chance for him to kind of reestablish himself as a guy and to go out on a positive note, because I know this year hasn't gone exactly how he's wanted the last few weeks. He should be heavily motivated for this game, and I think this Arkansas offense could use some stability right now, and he could provide it.
Yeah, man, 100%. And yeah, one of us had to go with Jaquin and Jackson here, and it's so important. Also, Braylon Russell is listed as questionable for this game, so we'll see, what his status looks like. But yeah, I mean, Arkansas is the best version of itself when they have a healthy and effective Jaquin and Jackson and Taylon Green on the field. Like that's the 1-2 punch. That's the KJ and Rocket of the good old days. We don't need to see last year's version of that. So hopefully he really is healthy. If he comes limping off the field, after a couple carries on the first series, I might throw my laptop out the window. And it's not because I'm going to be pissed at him, but just the situation, man, because he's so good when he's healthy. And you just hope that you can see that. How many games has he missed now? A couple games and the bye week. So it's been like a month almost since we've seen him.
It was the Tennessee game that he left.
Yeah.
Did he come back and play against LSU?
Maybe just a little bit. I think maybe just a bit.
Okay.
And then we didn't see him at all against Mississippi State.
Definitely not against Ole Miss.
Not against Ole Miss. Yeah. So I think that's right. Yeah. So gosh, man, it's been almost a month. So hopefully he's firing on all cylinders there, because when he does, man, you're right. He's an impressive running back and a big boost to the offense. I'll steal your Texas native thing there with the Taylon Green, obviously. And it's just interesting. Andrew, we're not going to know until the game starts, because Sam Pittman has been all over the place when talking about Taylon Green. After the game the other day or last week, it was like, who the hell knows? And then during the SEC teleconference over the bye, it was, well, he did some walkthrough stuff. We don't know about practice. Then Monday of this week, it was, oh yeah, he practiced every day last week. And then on the teleconference Wednesday, it was, yeah, he's been out there, but he hasn't been full speed. Who knows? He's going to play. I feel pretty confident in that. But is this a full tilt boogie version? You like what I did there of Taylon Green? Just the firing on all cylinders, using your legs, just out there playing with full confidence? Or is it going to be the LSU version of Taylon Green, where he's out there, but they're hesitant to run him? He's as hesitant to run himself, because that one's going to get Arkansas's ass kicked. And the fully healthy version gives him a puncher's chance. It always does, because he's got that home run threat. If you don't have the full capabilities of Taylon Green, you might as well put Malachi Singleton in there. But if you do, and you're able to use him the way he's intended to be used at full health, then maybe you have something to work with. Now he's going to have to be careful with the turnovers, and like we understand all of that. And his offensive line is going to have to help him out too. But you got to have Taylon's legs in this game. So hopefully he is as close to healthy as possible, and they can kind of keep any restrictions off of him.
The beauty of modern medicine, they should be able to get him out there with it. He'll be fine. He'll be fine. And plus, it's like, dude, also you've got the Louisiana Tech game, which I'm not saying you should just like save him, rest him completely for, but it's like you've got a game to kind of flirt with a little bit. I think if there's one game that Taylon Green should want to be fired up to play in, it should be this one. Although we said that going into the LSU game, and did not turn out to be the case.
Yeah.
But still, I feel like you got it. You've had a bye week. You should have him ready to roll in this one. Well, I'm sticking with my Texas natives, and I'm going with a young man that we've actually challenged a lot. We've talked about this young man more than his stats would indicate that we should talk about him. Brad Spence, another linebacker. Now, honestly, I'll just be honest with you. I was scraping the bottom of the barrel because some of the Texas natives, like I wasn't going to challenge Andrew Armstrong, Just don't have anything to challenge him on. I've done it enough. He's answered all my challenges.
Yeah.
We're good. Like I get it, Andrew. And so I was kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel. But Brad Spence is one that stuck out to me. He's from Houston, by the way. Which I don't know if I knew that.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure I didn't know that. Yeah.
I don't know where I thought Brad Spence was from. I didn't think Houston. But good for him. He's had a year where he's played a decent amount, and he's been one of Arkansas's top 3 linebackers ish. And he's not been bad or anything, but like, all right, if we just fast forward to the offseason right now and we're going into next offseason, how do we feel about Arkansas's linebacker room? I don't know, probably pretty good, but like I would like to have Brad Spence have some moments here down the stretch that really solidify him as like a guy that you build around to where it's like, hey, I'm a spot that you don't have to worry about. Mm-hmm. You don't have to go out there and find an extra experienced linebacker. You've got one on the roster that's been playing.
Spend your huge NIL money elsewhere. Yeah.
I mean, seriously though, because I think there's this time last year we were looking at the linebacker room and we're like, man, who can they count on? Is Brad Spence like the only guy? And he had only played a little bit. I think if Brad Spence is able to make some plays here down the stretch, again, I've compared him to Poop Hall a lot. And look, skill set wise, I think they're different players. I think Poop Hall is also just one of the best players in the country this year. Probably an unfair comparison, but it was around this time of Poop Hall's redshirt freshman year when he really started to emerge and started at that point down the stretch. That 2022 season was starting games over Bumper Pool. I think if Brad Spence is going to kind of take that next step and be a legitimate everyday starting linebacker, we need to start seeing flashes of it right about now. He's had some moments throughout the year. He hasn't been bad. I'm not criticizing the kid at all. I just feel like it's time for him to kind of put it together a little bit and start showing some flashes against your home state team. I think this is a good chance to do it.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot, man. I have another one on the defense, and it's going to be non-specific right now, but it should be specific after the game. Challenging whoever it is that emerges from this open competition in the secondary, like specifically the guys who've been Wally pipped. Like that's what I'm really looking forward to here. Or maybe not Wally. Well, I mean, I guess somebody did that to Jalen Braxton at some point, but anybody who's been replaced, because Sam Pittman really gave off the vibes during the teleconference that, maybe they're not 100% sure exactly how this thing is going to wind up on Saturday, but that they're confident in the changes they've made. And he was specifically asked about personnel. So I have no idea what that looks like because Jalen Braxton's not playing this game. Like, he's not coming back. Selman Bridges is listed as out, so he's not in there. Anthony Switzer, who he's been playing some linebacker, he can obviously play on the back end, he's out. So you start thinking about like, well, who the hell might they throw in there? I don't know if it's Tevis Metcalf or more Miguel Mitchell. Hello, Miguel Mitchell. I have no idea what it's going to look like, but whoever those guys are, just challenging them to make Sam and Travis Williams look smart for putting you in there. And they're going to have to be, because again, this is a Texas offense that is pretty damn potent through the air. And Sark is kind of a mastermind at getting his playmakers into open space, getting them the ball and letting them cook. And so it's not all about, just holding up in man coverage against your assignment there, but finishing the damn plays, man, because against Ole Miss, Arkansas missed 15 tackles and the secondary was responsible for 11 of them. And it just can't happen when you're the last line of defense. So they got to shore a lot of things up there. No idea who it's going to be. But I've done a lot of Marquise Robinson, you got to defend the number 1 receiver. I don't even know if he's going to start. Like, I have no idea. Whoever does, get it done.
I like it. I like it a lot. And I think listen, if there's a group on this Arkansas roster that you need to challenge, it would be that secondary. They could certainly use a challenge, and we'll see if they're up to it. And we'll see, like you said, we'll just see who emerges. No sense in trying to predict what they're going to come out of this bye week with. But I've got one last challenge here for another Texas native, Curtis. I said I don't think Texas is necessarily going to blow out Arkansas. Now, look, full disclosure, I haven't made my official prediction yet, which I will be sending to you later today.
Love it.
I do not imagine I'm going to pick Arkansas to win this game, but I do think it's going to be, in that, 10 to 14 point range. Striking distance. You want to know how you get in striking distance and you stay in striking distance, Curtis? You make your field goals. You take your medicine. You do what you got to do. Matthew Shipley, who's also a Texas native. I listen, he's been He's been okay. He's been okay. Kyle Ramsey, he was just okay as well. The Arkansas kicking situation, it's just make one, miss one. Make one, miss one. Stop doing that. Like, I don't know how many opportunities you're going to get. I would like to imagine Arkansas is not going to kick 4 to 5 field goals in this game because I don't think that's a recipe for success. But whatever it is, if it's 2, make the 2. If it's 1, make the 1. If it's 3 and, one of them's actually kind of far, you know what? Arkansas needs every point they can get. That's kind of the thing that I keep thinking about is like anytime Arkansas has an opportunity to do something, if you have an opportunity to score points have to go on the board. And look, I don't want them settling for a ton of field goals, but I feel like in a game like this and momentum wise, it's going to be a big deal. We've seen Matthew Shipley make 50 plus yarders.
Yeah.
We know he can make just about any field goal. He's got good numbers for his career. Like, just put it together and have a decent game where we don't have to worry about it. We don't have to talk about the kicking. Just make the layups. Make your free throws. They call them free throws for a reason.
Exactly. Yeah. And Arkansas basketball went 50% from the line last night, by the way. And nobody's talking about it because they made 10 threes. But, we'll get to that on a different podcast.
If Arkansas wants to do that where, hey, they missed 2 field goals, but they had 7 touchdowns. All right, I'll settle for that.
That's exactly right. I have one last challenge here. And again, it's kind of a bigger scope thing. But the offensive line, the secondary was so bad against Ole Miss that people forgot the offensive line gave up 8 sacks and 13 tackles for loss or whatever the hell was going on. Ole Miss, very, very good on the defensive front. Still, you can't have that. So, and in Texas, very, very good defensively. I mean, they are salty, man. But here's the deal. I'm not asking Arkansas, their offensive line to pave the way for a 300-yard rushing game or anything like that. Nothing crazy. But I will challenge them to just give Taylon Green and Jaquindon Jackson and this offense a chance out there. You just got to hold up. You can't be a one Mississippi rush, where it's a bunch of third down sacks and, plays are blowing up and it's drive killing, just mistakes from that front. Hold up, hold your own, and just keep this offense in forward motion is all I ask. We can't do the deal where Arkansas is giving up 5-6 plus sacks back there. And Taylon Green can't be running for his life because then he's going to make mistakes and everybody's going to want to bench him when it's not really on him. And so that's it. Like, I'm just asking for, and if we want to put specific numbers on that, we can, like, and I know it sounds ridiculous, but like 4 or fewer sacks, like just
4 or fewer.
I mean, this shit a couple of weeks ago was ridiculous, man. I've never seen anything like it, and like and again, like Texas is not Ole Miss. They do it differently than Ole Miss does in terms of, getting to the quarterback and everything, but they're certainly capable and they got high end talent. But yeah, like limit it to 1 a quarter or something, man, but you just can't be a complete shiv up there up front or it's going to be tough selling for Arkansas. So I wonder if after the bye week, if they made any changes there. I don't think so. But if they made any improvement, with the Kudus at guard and, Marion Harris out at tackle, whatever. But it's just got to be better. And if that means that you need more Andreas Posca reps out there, you need more Maddox Lassiter lining up as a fullback in there, I don't care. But just keep Taylon Green as clean as possible, man. My goodness.
I am not looking forward to watching Arkansas try and block Colin Simmons for the next 3 seasons. Hopefully he opts out in the midway through his junior year before they play him. But
it'd be nice, wouldn't it?
I feel like he could have a Harold Perkins type of game here.
Yeah, I'm worried about it. I really am. Bold predictions. What you got?
So, okay, again, I want to clarify. I'm not picking Arkansas to win the game because when I list off these bold predictions, it's going to sound like I am predicting Arkansas to win the game. But that's kind of what makes it even more bold is that I'm predicting these things.
That would be bold.
Picking them to win would be bold enough. I'm not doing that, but I'm predicting a few things to happen because again, I am dying on the hill that I think this is going to be a close game, or at least a competitive game. And for it to be that, Curtis, I think Arkansas has to at least hold serve, but I have them winning the turnover battle. You mentioned it earlier. Texas isn't afraid to cough up the football. In fact, they've garnered an insane amount of interceptions. I think, what was it, like 14 combined interceptions on their team or something like that? Like they turned the ball over a good bit. Arkansas has also turned the ball over a good bit, but I think this has got to be a game where if you're Arkansas offensively, I'm not saying you can't take chances. You've got to make some big plays, but I think that urgency of like, hey, Talon, you really can't do anything stupid, has to be hit home for them. Also, if Talon is not out and about running like all over the place, like he probably won't be due to injury, I feel like that increases his chances to not do anything stupid, if that makes sense. Where it's like Arkansas might not be as dynamic, might not be able to have some of the flashy plays, the big plays, but I do think they won't turn the ball over as much. You got to take care of the football in this game. I think it's got to be of the utmost importance to Arkansas. And again, I think that Travis Williams, they do it in bunches where when they when they get turnovers, they seem to, it gets contagious and they're able to find 3 or 4. I'm not necessarily predicting that will happen, but I think there's an opportunity there for Travis Williams, who should be coaching with some desperation, to maybe generate a big play or two that gets Arkansas the football. And I think Arkansas just really needs to play as close to mistake free on offense, at least from a big picture standpoint, as they can.
I like that. Yeah. It's interesting. Let's see. Quinn Ewers has 6 interceptions. Arch Manning has 2. And then I look at their defense for Texas, and they've got 2 defensive backs, Andrew Makuba and Jade Barron, who both have 3 interceptions apiece. So interesting. So some names to keep an eye on. They've got multiple guys who have picks. They get a lot of interceptions themselves. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see for sure. To kind of go off of what you were saying there, I don't know how bold this is because he's done it a number of times this year, but given what you said about Arkansas and their, boom or bust in the turnover department, I think they're going to pick off Quinn Ewers in the first quarter. And to go along with that, so this is a trifecta here. Arkansas is going to pick off Ewers in the first quarter. Arkansas is going to score first, and Arkansas is going to be leading this game at the end of the first quarter. I think all 3 of those things are going to happen.
Well, Curtis, that leads me right in. My second bold prediction was Arkansas is not only going to lead at the end of the first quarter, they're going to lead at halftime.
All right. Yeah.
Now you went with this one against Tennessee, so there's a little bit of like I'm trying to like trick the gods into making it happen a little bit. But yeah, I think Arkansas, we talked about how if Arkansas is going to be competitive in this game, they have to start fast. I think they're going to be able to do that. I'm not necessarily saying it's going to last for the entire 4 quarters, but I do think Arkansas is going to be able to kind of harness some of that momentum. And there will at least be moments where for all the fans inside Razorback Stadium where they're like, Arkansas is going to beat Texas. It's happening. Like people will be locked in on the game and it will be a fun, awesome atmosphere for at least the first half. I think Arkansas will carry a lead into the halftime break.
I like that. Throw the records out the window when these teams get together on the gridiron. Like
exactly.
I've got 2 more. One of them, trust me. Okay. Rodney Hill, anytime touchdown alert.
Wow.
In this game. Okay.
Holy cow.
Because, and the reason being, 1, I'm not sure what the situation is with Braylon Russell. But 2, I just feel like for Arkansas to score in this game, they're going to have to do some unconventional things with Bobby Petrino. And so I think it's going to be a catch, a reception. They get down there in the goal line area and, it's just one of those deals where I think he's going to just be out there on the field and Texas is going to be like, who the hell is this guy? I think he's going to score. So there we go. I was between him and R-Dub and I wanted to get really bold. Yeah. So I'm going to go Rodney Hill. And then the other one that I have just for funsies, I think there's going to be a trash throwing worthy review that goes against Arkansas in this game. They're not going to throw trash because we're better than that in Fayetteville. But I think there's going to be one of those reviews where people are just going off the deep end. Trey Biddy's just pounding the keyboard, typing away and tweeting out his anger about it. Something like that is going to happen in this game to where even if Arkansas winds up getting their ass kicked by 30 points, people are going to point back to that and say, that changed the game. It's going to happen because Arkansas has been they've been the benefactor of a lot of fortunate reviews like that happened at Mississippi State like a half dozen times.
1 yard line was crazy.
Yeah, they're going to get in this game with one of those. I don't know what it's going to be, but that's just a random one I wanted to throw out there.
That's an interesting call, and I like that one. So for my last one, Curtis, I've been thinking a lot about something that Sam Pittman said. He compared Texas to the Georgia teams that he coached on, where he said it's not like they do any like funny stuff in terms of alignment. It's like, you know where they're going to be, you know how they're going to line up, and they're just kind of almost daring you. It's like, hey, it's like one of those, let's whip them out and see who's bigger type of thing. I think that is one, Texas is extremely talented. It works really, really well for them to do that. And it probably is why they're able to play at such a high level, because they, they're not trying to do a bunch of different things, master of none type of thing. But I think what that is going to lead to is Bobby Petrino is a psycho. And he's one of those guys. How good is he on the first possession of the game when he kind of knows what defense he's going to be facing? He knows what he's going to be. He's able to draw up some weird stuff. Again, I don't think he's just going to put together a masterclass and just always have this Texas defense running wild. But I do think he's going to have a few little tricks up his sleeve because he knows what to expect from this Texas defense. Because again, they don't try to do anything too crazy. They're not trying to disguise you or trick you. They just know they're better than you and that they can beat you, and they will beat Arkansas. Make no mistake about that. But I think Bobby Petrino is going to have one crazy play up his sleeve. I've predicted this before, and I'm predicting it again. A 50-plus yard touchdown will be scored by an Arkansas Razorback.
Rodney Hill?
I think it's going to be Isaiah Satania. I think it's been a while since we've gotten the over-the-top big play with Satania. Been a little bit quiet here lately. I think Satania is going to get loose for like a 63-yarder.
All right, there you have it. Before we get out of here, I know we're doing our predictions later on the website. Arkansas cover or not?
Yeah, they're covering. They're going to lose by 11.
By 11? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, but you're first. I don't think they are, but I don't think they're going to get 30 piece
shellacked or anything.
Yeah, I think I'm very much in like the 17 to 20 range. I think is
so
where
you're thinking like 34-17 type of score.
I think that's about where I'm at.
I think my score prediction is probably going to, look, check InsideArkansas.com to see if I changed my mind by the time this came out. I'm thinking 38-27.
Okay. No, I get some points on the board. I like that. I hope so. I would feel better about things moving forward if they
the over be hitting in that scenario. What's the over? Do we know?
I can find it without with having too much dead airspace in about 10 seconds, I think, because I had this pulled up a while ago.
We are stalling. We are killing time while Curtis looks it up.
Exactly. I did see that the line moved back to 14. It was 13.5 for the longest. The over under is 57.5.
Okay, yeah, so 38-27 smashes that.
Yeah, there you go.
Right? Yeah. That'd be 65 points.
There you go. Be interesting.
That's pretty good. Pretty good.
And let's see that, like, their closest game was like a 27-24 with Vanderbilt, I think. It's 30-15 against Georgia, 49-17 against Florida.
Haven't been in a ton of close games, have they?
Not really. No, not really. They're going to learn this weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right. We're out of here, people. Appreciate everybody. If you listen to this point, we're very grateful. Because we've been wondering what this is going to look like, and I guess we're going to find out as soon as we publish it. But thank you guys as always for the support. Make sure you get subscribed, or you need to get subscribed Inside Arkansas YouTube page, wherever you find your podcasts. Go to the Pot of That Nature podcast feed. InsideArkansas.com for all the written content. We got you covered there as well. So for Andrew Ellis, it's been Curtis Wilkerson with Pot of That Nature. We'll see you guys after the game on Saturday. Everybody have a good one.